friends. This is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average Canadian wolfpack come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. Each week, we will bring you new episodes sharing our experiences on a ton of different topics in hopes that we get a better understanding of ourselves, each other, and this crazy world we live in. We want to build a community where we can show up as ourselves, be real, and lay it all out there. By sharing our experiences, we hope to reach others who can relate so we can all help each other learn, grow, and heal. But please keep in mind, as a disclaimer, none of us here are professionals, no one is giving any advice. We are strictly speaking of our life experiences and for entertainment purposes only. Now, with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the Be Real Babe podcast. I'm your host, Brandy, and here with me today is my beautiful co-host, Kayla. Hey, girl.
Hey, babe, what's up?
Oh, I am just so ready for this episode because I just am equally excited and embarrassed about what we're going to talk about.
I literally can't even tell you when I seen the picture go up for the polls and everything, I got so pumped because it was like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air kind of vibe to the color theme, and you killed it. So I'm really excited about this.
Thank you. Yeah. So, guys, we just thought, we've talked about a lot of very serious and heavy stuff and equally light, but we thought this one would be really fun because Kayla was born in the 90s and I was 4 to 14 during the 90s. So that's a big chunk of the beginning of our lives. And honestly, it makes me laugh going back. It's been a lot of fun reminiscing, and just with everything in the way the world is right now, we just thought a good couple laughs of how things used to be and some fun pictures of us in that time. For your entertainment, we volunteer as tribute for this. So we're doing a throwback to the 90s, and we're going to go over some polls that we posted online. We're going to go through some random facts that we've pulled on the internet and just kind of random memories that we have as we're going to travel down this fun little episode of revisiting all the fun things in the 90s.
It was such a good time.
It was.
I'd almost like to go back a little bit, like when I think about it, because just right now with what's going on right now, it would be so awesome to be back in the 90s worrying about these things.
And you know what? I feel like in the 90s, I was really thinking about it, like talking about it. And I know I was very young at this time, and maybe it was just my age, but I feel like the 90s were where everyone was just trying to honestly discover who they were. And there was like no judgment or like offense, or like everyone was just trying to find their own place and their own way in the world. It's like when grunge came out and like when, you started seeing, I don't know, just more diversity came out, I think. And if you look back at the styles, I mean, there's a lot of denim.
So much denim.
Denim and plaid and like really oddly cut clothing, like 3/4 inch pants and shirts. They weren't crop tops, but they weren't normal shirts. They're kind of like in the middle, and everything was held together with like safety pins and shit. Like it was weird, but
yep.
It was just like everyone just did it. I don't know. I do miss that part, I think.
Dude, it was cool. I don't know how it is for you, like over there, like in Kelowna, but Victoria is very hard going 90s. Like all the kids out there are wearing like Nike Air Max and the 3/4 length pants. And if their pants are long, then they roll them up, and they got the high white socks, and like, it's crazy. I feel like I'm in the 90s here.
Yeah, that's fair. Victoria has that vibe. It's very, there's a lot of different everything here. So there's definitely some of that here for sure. And
I always wonder.
Yeah, I'm looking back now. So I'm like, I'm going to reintroduce some of this. Like, I love the colors of them. That's probably my favorite, is just the outrageous different colors, and then just nothing had to match or make any sense.
Exactly. And it's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect for my brain. So for this episode, guys, like we said, we did a little poll. We did a spot where we asked a bunch of questions and I left it open for people to answer. And then there was also another part where we did a poll where it was kind of this or that. And then I've pulled some random jibber jabber fun facts from the 90s. There's so many things that happened, you guys. We do not have time, obviously, to cover all the crazy things, but just funny things. So we're going to start off with the poll where we just open what? Asked openly and left it blank for people to answer. Some fucking English like that. What a Monday.
Love it.
Yeah, so Kayla will answer, and I'm going to answer. Kayla will ask, I will answer from the Instagram poll how they work.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna go with it. What stage were you in the 90s is one of our first questions.
So we had born to 12, which was 24, which is the majority. There were 6 of you in your teens and 2 of you in your 20s and no one in your 30s. So we would be the same. I would be 4 to 14 and Kayla was obviously born in the 90s. So that would be her realm. So I love that. We're all kind of in the same era. We all grew up in those first years in the 90s. That's why we're all so super fucking stylish, obviously.
Right? Like, I don't know about you, but oh no, you have the best style, by the way. I love your style.
Do I? I don't even know if I do. I have one. I
It
think I
suits you.
just.
Yeah, no, you dress well. I
Oh,
think I loved your dress reel, so that
ah,
was really fun.
I loved it. It was kind of one of those things where I was so excited because I'm sorry for everyone that's not in BC. It is supposed to be nice everywhere, but it is going to be 20 to 22 degrees at the end of the week in Kelowna here. So we
Hmm.
are absolutely ready for dress weather, and I was so excited. And Grant is always up for a funny uh, cameo in my reels. So if you haven't seen it, go to my Instagram and wait till the end. It's definitely worth it. And I almost shit myself when laughing when he put my dress on. Oh, I have ruined it. But anyways, you'll have to see it in real life. But it was just like when we did our reel for the switch and we switched bathing suits. And
Oh,
when
yes.
we were finding our bathing suits that would fit him, I came around the corner. He's like, I don't think this one. His nuts are hanging out of my bathing suit, and I damn near died. It was the best time ever. So, as much as I don't want to spend too much time making funny reels, sometimes it is really fun, and I really advise doing it together because it's hilarious.
Oh, I love that shit. Holy crap.
Anyways, squirrely, but
Yes.
yeah, next.
So, our next question, which was, who were your favorite artists?
Okay, so favorite artists. Let's see. So favorite artists of the 90s. We have Alanis Morissette. Oh, love her. Britney. Yes, free hashtag free Britney. If you are interested in looking into that, go on YouTube, follow a guy named Sloan, and he reports on all Britney Spears stuff. And then we've got J Lo, obviously, and on Nelly.
Oh,
Nelly.
what about Usher?
Yeah, Usher too. Yeah, and
Mm.
I think for me, I was always obsessed with. I think it was there. Brandy was for sure, and I think there was a Brandy and Monica because she had the same name as me and she had a beautiful voice, and I was just obsessed. And obviously,
Mm.
um, yeah, I was obsessed with those two too as well. There's so many. There's so many. Honestly, '90s was a really good time for music, in my opinion.
It
Yeah.
was. It really was. That rolls us to the next one. Favorite game?
Oh, so we missed one. Sorry. Let's go back. I must have forgot. So I did this twice. I always do this to you guys. I'm going to get better at this. So I did favorite artists and favorite bands. So for favorite bands, we had Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Spice Girls, Prince, Backstreet Boys, and All Saints. Oh, All Saints.
Ooh, I don't think I know who that
All
is.
Saints. Oh, I'll have to show you. I think they were the original Lady Marmalade singers, I believe. Yeah,
Okay.
I think. Anyways, I'll send you some, but just remembering it. I'm not singing it, so I'm terrible. So Backstreet Boys, Aqua, Hanson. That's great. Yeah.
Hanson.
Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys again, Savage Garden. Savage Garden. Savage
Oh,
Garden. That's a good one. Backstreet Boys again. Roxette. Ooh. Oh, Salt and Pepper. Yes. TLC, NWA, SWV, Wu Tang Clan, Public Enemy. Ooh, that's a good solid mix there. Uh, uh,
that was a really good
Aqua,
mix.
Spice Girls, Britney Spears, Blink 182, Offspring, Oasis. Yes, yes, yes. And then Spice Girls again. I think all of us. Okay, so funny story. I'm going to post these two. I still have 5 original Spice Girl dolls in their like original packaging. Yeah,
What?
all 5 of them.
I love you. That's
my
amazing.
mom so my mom did this thing where she bought all of them and then she bought me an extra ginger spice because that was my favorite and I wasn't allowed to open the other ones but I was allowed to open that one and that was it. So the rest are still in like decently mint boxes, like a little bit wearing from all my moving, but the dolls themselves are mint condition. um
That's so
yeah, so I'll
cool.
make sure to post that. That's like my favorite thing that I have. that I kept. But yeah, so those bands are all great, which we're going to compare down the road here. So sorry, now you can go to say the next one.
Favorite game of the
Favorite game of the
90s?
90s. So Mall Madness was my favorite. I'm just going to say that. So, and then Dream Date was the entry for that too. There wasn't much on that one, but Mall Madness was my favorite. I don't know if you ever played that one. You might have been too young, maybe.
I'm thinking, yeah, I did that. These ones weren't, this isn't familiar to me. Like when I think about like games, I think about like Uno or like Trouble or that one, like you get like those where you have like little fishes and stuff, like
Oh, yep, yep, yep. I know which one you're talking.
magnet.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Well,
there was a random assortment of games. Like there's another one too where it's like got little wooden like pucks almost. They're small, like toonie size, and you have a octagon board with pegs and holes, and the point of the game is to flick the wooden things into the circle, the holes in the board
yep.
game,
Well, that's fair.
and you get
Yeah.
points. I think it's called Crokinole, but yeah, that was
Yeah,
mine.
fair. No, that's fair. So Mall Madness was like you had a mall and then you had credit cards and money and then you bought stuff at the mall and you went around and swiped your credit card and
Fucking
yeah,
cool.
and then Dream Date was like
I'd play that
yeah,
now.
totally. It's honestly, if I can find it, I will get it. We'll play it. And then Dream Date was like
Okay,
there was
cool.
this like old school phone, like an old school phone, like a very first cell phone, like the big fucking clunky ones. Like I'm not talking big flip phone. I'm talking like it's like the size of your head big.
Oh, with a big
Yes,
antenna?
this is very dating me. So that phone, and then you'd pick it up, and maybe it got better over time, you guys. But when my age, and then it was like a boy, and then you talk to him on the phone.
Oh, I think
Those
I know what
stand
you're
out.
talking
Yeah.
about.
So there's yeah, yeah. Board games were definitely some of my favorite ones. I wish I would have spent more time on this figuring it out. But Mall Madness was my jam. I loved that. It was yeah, some of the best.
All right. That's some good shit there. Okay, so our next one would be favorite toy, and for the perverts out there, we meaning as the children, as a child, not for not your favorite toys. We don't want to hear that.
As soon as I typed it out, I was like, someone's gonna fucking say something nasty, but no one did, so that's good.
Yeah.
So what an answer was
Mm.
Nintendo, and that was definitely something that was huge in my life growing up. Was definitely the new video games. There's all different kind of video games. For me growing up, I think they're just trying to find their right way. Now it's like you've got a couple, and it's that. But when it was like our time or my time specifically, they're all just trying to figure out their way. So there's a bunch of different kinds. Like I can't even remember so many. It's so ridiculous. But I know Grant said one of his favorite was like GoldenEye on N64. That was like huge. And
No, it
yeah,
wasn't.
no,
That one of mine,
yeah,
yes. That was one of me and my brother. Oh yeah, dude, we just fired up the GameCube the other day and played like a 007 game, and I'm just like, this is such a
yeah,
blast. Like we had the Sega Genesis, the Nintendo
yeah.
64. We didn't have the GameCube. I don't know. Tried to ask Ryan. He said that came out later, so I was much older and not
No,
interested. But yeah, that's funny. Grant
yeah,
said that that's his
yeah. We
sick
had
game.
N64, and I had like the Nintendo, and you had like the duck game where you shot the duck, and like
Duck
yeah, and
Hunters?
then like if you go way back, you used to have like this same kind of time, but you would like paint stuff and you could like paint on the screen and oh my gosh, this is making me feel so old. Um
But it was
Mario Kart,
cool at the
yeah.
time because it was
Dude,
like,
when N64
yeah.
came out and Mario and the whole like 3D fucking video game
Mm-hmm.
thing happened, I think I was like, I don't know, 11 or 12 or some shit like that. And I honestly thought I was tripping on mushrooms because I was like, what am I looking at? Like, what is this sorcery? Like, it took me a
Right?
while to wrap my head around, anyways, but I loved it after. And like, I think everyone could say that Mario Kart's like originally when you first played it was one of the funnest times of your life.
Yeah, and I actually reintroduced that. We got a Nintendo Switch, and that's one of my favorite
Yeah.
games. So we play it with Cash now. It's 100%. I
Yeah.
love it. I love Zelda.
Yeah.
Like,
All the old ones like Sonic too, the Hedgehog back in the day.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sonic. Fuck,
All those old
Sonic was
ones. Yeah.
amazing.
And then too, like thinking of different toys like Tamagotchi and like I used to always play with like Polly Pockets. Like that was huge for me,
Mm-hmm.
Polly Pockets. Oh my God, I loved it. Oh, and I forgot one game
Me
looking
too.
at my notes here. There was this one game that was like adult game. I wasn't allowed to play it, but my parents played. It was called Graveyard. And yeah, it was
Oh,
like a really dark one. And that you I can't really I'm never ended up really playing it. I still think I have it somewhere, to be honest. I should pull it out. But anyways, you have this like VHS, so maybe I'll never get to play it. And then you put it in and it's like this like crypt keeper, and you have like certain amount of time to play this game. And it's like really creepy. But I remember like sneaking when I was a kid, like trying to watch what the adults were playing, and they were like all hush hush about it. And I just remember like thinking it was like the most badass game. It's called Graveyard, and there's a scary crypt keeper, and oh, it was so funny. And then back to toys though. I fucking love my Tamagotchi. Like that was my
Hmm.
pet. I was like didn't have a pet. That was my pet. Polly Pockets. And then my grandpa bought me this like pizza parlor for Barbies, and it was like my favorite thing for longer than I want to admit.
Amazing. I love that. Honestly, Tamagotchi for me too. Polly Pockets as well. I don't think I ever played with the pizza parlor from Barbie though,
That was
but I
special
did
for
have a lot
me.
of Barbies.
That was obviously special for me.
Fuck yeah.
I was trying to think of anything else.
And
Not too many other things I can think of. I mean, there's a million,
that's
but
a so many. But yeah, no, it's funny. I was in Walmart the other day and I seen a Tamagotchi and I remember putting it on my story and like so many people from my age group were just like, "What? Where is what?"
you need it.
I just it's so many
I need
memories.
it.
Favorite song is our next
Okay,
one.
so for that one, a lot of answers were there's too many to list, which is totally fair. And then we got
Yeah.
Waterfall by TLC, which is probably one of my favorite. And
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't even know what I would say for favorite song, but I know one song that I used to sing a lot when I was younger. I can't remember who sings it, but it's Don't Take the Girl. It's a country song.
Tim
Yeah.
McGraw.
And I don't know why. I think it's one of the saddest songs and most.
It's sad
Yeah,
AF.
but it just like I don't know, it was just like such a devoted a love song, and I was just like so infatuated with it and just so beautifully sang. And I remember the fucking music video, and she like falls by the
Mm,
boat, like oh, it was really impactful. And then my grandma used to always sing Brown Eyed Girl to me, obviously because of brown eyes. And then I think obviously Wannabe by Spice Girls was like my out and coming song where I just like knew who I like, this is it.
for sure. I fucking love the
Yeah,
Spice
none.
Girls.
Any song there, like there's a mashup, I'll share it. There's a mashup of the 80s and the 90s, and I'll share it on our thing, and it's just so great. It's like some lines of our favorite songs. I'm gonna share that on our page too, because that was really fun to listen to. Like, oh yeah, there's so many good
Love that.
songs. But that was all that was entered.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's good.
that's good. No, Don't Take the Girl by Tim McGraw. He's actually got quite a few really good ones. Like I grew up on country, so it was Tim McGraw, Alan Jackson, Gretchen Wilson. Like there was so many people that I remember. And oh, but that song, Don't Take the
Yeah, I don't know
Girl,
why.
it's so
It's so
good.
powerful.
But you know what's hilarious when we're going through the favorite artists, and you brought up Savage Garden. What's this
Like that
song? Like they
truly,
have,
madly, deeply, or whatever. Is that one?
oh,
Yeah.
yes,
That's like
that
Titanic
was my
timing too, I
jam.
think. I think it has to do with like Titanic time. It's just like, those songs that just like move you as like a young, like, I think it was like 6 or 7, and it just
Yep,
fucking, those songs moved you and you're like, what? You just understood the lyrics and stuff, and it was just beautiful moments. Beautiful
crazy.
moments.
They were. So our next one takes us to our favorite
Favorite
foods.
food. So I put snacks because then I was like, how else do we do that? So we got push pops and blow pop, which is so funny when you
Hmm,
think back. I think all those things are still things now. I think they're still, yeah.
they are.
I don't think Dunkaroos are though. That was mine. Like Dunkaroos,
They are making
are
a
they?
comeback,
That's
supposedly. I have heard.
right. I think all the like gushers and like fruit by the foot. I think that all came out around our, yeah, the
Our
90s
time.
age, where they still have those things now, but those were just like come out, like all the different cereals that all the kids have now, like those were just starting to come out.
Lucky
Yeah, cinnamon
Charms.
toast crunch, like all those different ones started coming out then. And um just like weird candies, like remember, I don't know if you ever had those, but like those garbage can candies in the
Yep,
garbage
yes,
can.
yes.
And I think
Yep.
back then, like candy bags were just great because they were so cheap and you got so much of them, and it's just not really as much of a thing now. It's like $5-6. Before you used to, this is gonna sound so age me too, but like they used to do like $1, $2 candy bags, and you got so much for them.
right? Now you get like barely, well, I don't know, they have pre-made bags and stuff, but like if you get, it costs it
Yeah. Yeah.
way more to have
Yeah. It's
candy
not as
now.
fun. No.
Not as fun.
They ruined that.
Our favorite TV shows.
Favorite TV shows. So for me, I don't think I'll ever feel any different about Friends. That'll always be one of my top one. But there's also Dawson's Creek, what Boy Meets
Yes.
World, and Sabrina, which are I love
Yeah.
Sabrina too. And I had the same. And when I was younger, Magic School Bus, that was like one of my favorite things to watch too. And like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Like those kind of times. Those
Yeah.
were my
Yeah.
favorite. Like there was like it was Bill Nye, but there's another guy that was better than Bill Nye. I can't ever remember his fucking name. There's another scientist guy, and he was way better than Bill Nye. But yeah. But we have more about TV shows
I,
too down there, and those are. I got a lot of like I can't decide. I liked both.
yeah, no, I'm sure because like some of them were kind of like I was like, ooh,
I
I'm
know
torn
I didn't
there.
make it easy. I'm not sorry.
No, it was good. It was good. We got favorite movies
Okay, so
now.
favorite '90s movies. My Girl,
Oh, my
right,
girl.
and The Craft, which I totally forgot about until I read this, which I watched that so much. I thought I was a witch for the longest time. Grease, that's a good movie too. Yeah,
Fuck
that
yeah.
was like a definite classic. I think I knew all the words to the songs. And then Save the Last Dance. I
Mm-hmm.
forgot about that movie until
Ooh, that was a
right.
great
That's what I
movie.
thought too. And then for me, like if we're going to like Disney, because that's when Disney was like kind of big in that time too. Like Little Mermaid was my favorite, and then right,
Mine
I wanted to be a
too.
mermaid for sure. And then
Me
not a lot of people probably will have watched this movie, but there's this movie called Heidi, and my grandpa loved watching it because we watch every Disney movie. So this is like a part of Disney, and it was like about a granddaughter that goes to the mountains, and like there's this whole thing about her grandpa dying, and like my grandpa just like always used to like he never was like cry sentimental about stuff as much, but he like cry on that movie. So that one was like a really like classic one in my house. And then because I was like going into my teenage years at this time, the movie Superstar came out with Molly Shannon and Will Ferrell, and it's the one where she like sticks her hands under her armpits and smells it.
I'm
Yeah,
doing it right now. I'm doing it right
and so
now.
that one, like, there's this one scene, and my best friend at the time, um, if she's listening to this, it'll be kind of funny. But there's this one part where the priest like chokes on his burnt toast, and I don't know why she thought it was the funny. It is funny, but like I think we watched it on repeat. Like, and like, gotta remember, guys, this is VHS, so it wasn't like you just went back on your DVD. Like, you actually had to like rewind the VHS. Fuck me. And and we would just watch it on repeat because it was so funny. Actually, maybe this time it was at DVD. I don't know. It might have been by DVD at this point. I don't know. But lots of VHSs too.
I That one had so many good moments, dude. Like the one where the armpit one for sure. I know the one you're talking about with the chokes on the
Yeah.
burnt like toast, and then the one part where she's like making out with the tree.
She's so fucking awkward and hilarious. Like she's one of the best actresses in the world. Yeah.
Just out there, like
None.
no
And
shame. It
Will
was so awesome. That was
It
such a
was, and Will
great
Ferrell's
movie.
so young, and it was a good cast. Yeah, that's probably one of my all time favorite movies. If I go back, and we used to have this movie store where it was like buy 10 movie or rent 10 movies for 10 days for $10, and it was all these VHSs. So we would just get all of these ones for like get them for 2 weekends, and we just binge watch all of these old movies, and it was great. I loved it. I love '90s movies. I miss the
I'm,
movie store.
yeah, me too. Like just the nostalgia of going in there with
Yeah,
your parents and like picking out
yeah,
candies and
totally.
oh, this is a good one. Favorite
Favorite
style?
style. So '90s style, which there's, like we said, a lot of jean and a lot of plaid and a lot of weird things and clothing being held together by strange like pins or anyways, yeah. So
Lace, like
yes,
ties,
yes.
like
So obviously
yeah.
platform sneakers from the Spice Girls, that was huge. Like I remember that. Oh my God. Uh my feet hurt. Those weird ass bondage pants. With the
What?
jeans,
What
yeah, with the
bondage
jeans
pants?
with the side lace.
Oh,
And again,
right. Yeah. No, I
everything
remember
being
those.
attached by some sort of lace or like string.
Very provocative
Yeah,
in
it was like you
some
just cut your
ways.
clothes apart and then you just like tried to put them back together with another piece. This is what I mean. Like it was very about finding your own style by doing everything that makes no sense at all and see what happens.
Yeah, the expression, self-expression is
Oh
really
my.
cool. What was tie-dye like a
I
90s
feel like
thing?
that was more like a 70s thing, but I could be wrong.
70s?
I feel
Okay.
like I rocked a lot
Yeah.
of orange and brown.
Hippies.
Like it
Mm.
sounds bad, but I feel like I did quite a bit. But don't worry, I've got all of my pictures and my fashion. It was great. My mom actually dressed me really well, like very in style, and hair was huge. Like
Hmm.
huge, huge, like Marge Simpson huge. Big bangs, big curls, blowout. So that was a huge style,
Oh
and
my
like
God.
Playboy was just like for like me, it was just really getting big in that teen years. Like everything had to have Playboy on it, and I was like fucking 14. Like
Yeah.
what? Get out of here. But yeah,
Get
Playboy
out
was
of here.
huge, and then like we used to take like bandanas and wrap them and then put them around our head. So it's like it didn't really do anything, but it was
Yep.
just yeah, there was that. Yeah, and
It was cool.
FUBU, that
Yep.
was huge then. And oh, Tommy Hilfiger, that was huge.
Oh yeah.
Overalls and like not wearing your overalls properly, but like taking them down and clipping them below, like clipping them together and hanging them down. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And then
I know that.
just at the end of this, probably beginning of the 2000s were, yeah, tearaways, like Adidas, like the
Oh,
fucking
the
tearaways.
fucking
Yes.
tearaways.
And
Yes.
a guy in junior high school, and I used to always wear G string, G strings and thongs. That's just how, I don't know. My mom always did, so I just did.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I had my period, and I don't ask me why I would wear those, but I did. And he ripped them right apart in front of fucking everyone. Oh my god, it was terrible. It was like the most. I can't remember if I was like I could have been 14. It might have been 13, 14, 15 in that area, and it was absolutely traumatic. But I remember I used to always have that with the champion
So,
shoes, and you'd like unclip one at the bottom
mhm.
so that you could see your shoes. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yep.
There's some 90s styles for you guys. You're
No,
welcome.
I wish I still had some
Honestly,
tearaways. Those things are
man, they were
amazing.
so comfortable, and the inside was so comfortable. Except for don't wear white ones when you have your
They
period. That's
were.
stupid.
No. Yeah, okay. Okay. We'll put that in the
Yeah, don't do
docket
that,
there.
pal.
Um, favorite catchphrase. This is a
Favorite
good one.
catchphrase. So, psych was one of them. As if, and then I don't want to make the noise, but what's up? Remember that fucking that was
Yeah, I know exactly what
uh
you're talking about.
yes, scream.
Scream.
Yes. And like I don't know. I think back to I think if you really wanted to know what words were like in the 90s, just go to Clueless.
Oh, yes. Oh, girl, I went out with my girlfriends and literally felt like I was Alicia Silverstone
Yeah.
from Clueless. The way that I was dressed, the patterns and everything, and I actually said it, and then someone else throughout the night when they were like, we asked someone to take a picture for us, and they're like, "You're totally like giving off a Clueless vibe."
That is
And I
such a
was like,
compliment.
"What?" It was, and I was
Yeah, that
so
was I feel
excited.
like Clueless was like the 2000s or sorry, no. Like Mean Girls was the 2000s Clueless. So it was just kind of like it kind of captures that like decade kind of perfectly, I think, in Clueless. Yeah. Yeah, and I was like
Totally.
whatever. Like there's just so much like it's just the cliches things ever, but I loved it. You were just so open to do whatever, and you were just so free to express yourself in the 90s.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I love the like whatever. I when I saw whatever, I even
Yeah.
did the W with my hands, like whatever, like
Oh my
so
god. Yeah,
sassy.
sass really came out a lot in the 90s, I think. Yeah.
They were so sassy. Most
Oh, I
memorable
forgot to post that one.
moment.
Sorry, keep going. I gotta update my
Oh,
shit.
okay. So top celebrity crushes. Oh,
Okay,
yes.
so I didn't. Okay, there it is. Okay, guys, there's only one answer. Like, sorry, there's multiple answers, but there's only one answer, and that's JTT.
Justin,
Jonathan Taylor
wait.
Thomas.
Yeah. Oh, that he's the guy from Home
Yes, yeah.
Improvement, right? Oh, yeah, him. But I was Freddie Prince
Yes,
Jr.
and that was
too.
my other answer too. I was very about Freddie Prinze Jr. too. That too. There's a lot,
I
like if
love
you think
that.
about like the Backstreet Boys and Hanson and all that, but like just yeah, the JTT was like yeah, there was like made out with my pillow pretending it was him. Yeah, there's good comments in here, guys. I love this. Had his posters everywhere. Like yeah, no, definitely he was like, and then he was always in all the magazines too. Like all
Oh yeah, you know those
yes,
tearaway magazines that you
yeah,
could have the posters? Oh man, that was one of
that
my
was our
favorite things
Instagram.
too, like those post
That
magazines.
was our
That
Instagram of the
was
90s was like in like the early 2000s was cutting everything up and like putting it on a board or that was like our version. Yeah, that was our
all over the
Pinterest and
wall.
Instagram, but it was just like not shared. It was like when people came over.
Totally. And yeah, no, I love that. I honestly, it's so funny because like you have the list here, and I had Jonathan Taylor Thomas, I had Freddie Prinze Jr., I had
Yeah,
Hanson on my wall, I had probably both Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. I definitely had a
right?
lot of Usher all
Right?
over my
Oh yeah,
wall.
sure, for sure.
Yeah, he was
He
the
was.
god of my wall, that's for sure. That kind of brings us totally into our next one, which is funny because it brings our favorite magazines, which is our
Yeah,
was our
and so
Instagram.
not a lot of people knew their names of it, but Cosmo was one, and I like lived and breathed Cosmo as a teenager for sure. And there was like
Yeah.
Teen Bop, there was all these like really teeny boppy kind of magazines that just essentially is what Instagram is doing now, and it's no different. Just this was print, and it was like more controlled by parents and stuff like that and adults.
Oh yeah. It was. It
And there
definitely
was a couple
was.
other ones that I just like randomly went off the fly, just to see what people had to say. So I put favorite '90s accessory, so snap bracelets, lip
Mm.
smackers, lip gloss. Remember you collected all those?
Ooh,
I don't know if
yeah.
you did. I collected all,
No,
right?
I 100% did.
And
I
then I just had
100%
this
did.
other random thought at the end. I was like, does anybody remember any commercials from the '90s? Because like, think about like that baby, like it was like baby hippopotamus or something or some shit. Yeah, and then
Yep.
there was baby bottle pop, which yes, I remember those little baby bottles that you have like candy, like uh, powder in them.
Oh
Yeah, and
yeah.
then mellow yellow butter. I don't know if I remember that one, but I think I do. I feel like I can see the container in my head. And yeah, don't you put it in your mouth. Yeah,
Oh, that was my favorite. I
that
still
was
remember that.
yeah.
Don't you put it in your mouth.
And
Don't you
it's
put
yeah,
it
that
in your
picture
mouth.
there. And I don't know if other people remember this, but I always like loved the Sprite commercials at Christmas time. They always had really I don't know why I always remember those, but I just love Christmas commercials in the 90s. They're always so good. And then like I don't know where the like don't this is your brain on drugs. And it's like scrambling eggs. I feel like this is around that time too. Maybe that's newer than that. I don't know. Yeah, and then just another quick one. What was a favorite kid show? So Sailor Moon and Weekenders, and I was like all about Recess, Hey Arnold,
Yep.
what other one? Rugrats. Oh fuck,
Rugrats.
Rugrats was one of my favorites for sure. And then I also put your all-time favorite thing about the '90s: being birthed, their fashion, being a kid, and no cell phones. And then the least favorite thing of the '90s is no cell phone and being a kid.
Oh yeah, fair. Because I
Yeah,
mean, yeah,
totally.
relatable.
And then yeah, that was kind of it for our just kind of like answer yourself one, just which I thought was kind of funny because it kind of I had picked out what I was going to do for the this or that, and it was just kind of funny when everyone was answering. I was kind of giggling because I was like, "Yep, I had these guys already picked out." So it was kind of great to see that there's just some key ingredients to the '90s that you can't deny are there.
No, totally, exactly. Yeah, this has been a great like
Yeah, I love the
throwback for
stories.
me.
The pictures, finding the pictures on Google was probably one of the funnest things ever. So I'm definitely going to do these poll things again because it was a good memory lane.
Fuck yeah.
Shall we bounce over to the this or that polls and see what everyone feels about music and TV? To the best of I could, you guys. I could have done it for like 6 days, but I,
Yeah.
I do have a life despite what I may think.
All right, so we have music first for our this or that, and Brandy is going to take us through the many this or that bands that we had given.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so we've got Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC, and we've got 74% Backstreet Boys and 26% NSYNC.
Ooh.
Not surprising. I think Backstreet Boys are always gonna. They NSYNC came in too late.
Yeah, and I feel like who NSYNC was, this is where I struggle because then it's like I liked both, but who was NSYNC? Like who was the main guy in NSYNC?
Justin Timberlake.
Okay, so yeah, that's why I liked NSYNC. And then Backstreet Boys was Nick Carter?
Yep, I liked.
Okay,
I liked Brian. He was the quiet one.
with the dark hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of. Yeah, light brown, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm like picturing somebody else.
And I seen them in like 20. Oh gosh, like 2013 or 2014 in Dawson Creek, and I'm pretty sure he sang out to me, so it was obviously a connection.
Totally.
Yeah,
I believe it.
yeah, I think so. So yeah, I think that settles the boy band, even though I think everyone feels that NSYNC is just a very, very close second, but BB Boys win. And then Spice Girls, and I didn't really know who else to put against them, but I picked TLC because they were also a big, big girl band of the 90s, and Spice Girls won 80% to 20% TLC,
Huh.
which is probably I think fair because I think Spice Girls just dominated the 90s.
I think they really did. Like I do know who TLC is and I do love their music, but I don't remember them being I don't remember them being a big in that time. I do
Yeah.
remember Spice Girls because it was everywhere.
Yeah, and I have their dolls and I got their stickers and I got their movie and I got their clothes and I dressed up like them and he did yeah, it was just like so I think just cuz they were British and like, I don't know, it was just they were just a great girl band. I love them.
They
Um
were.
and the next one was Nirvana and Pearl Jam and I got messages saying this was unfair because people couldn't decide. I'd say almost every single option someone said both or I can't decide. So there's that. But it was 80% Nirvana and 20% Pearl Jam. And I had someone say, which I think was a kind of fair argument, that if Nirvana was still around, they wouldn't have outlasted Pearl Jam. So that was an interesting comment,
Mm,
right? So I thought that was kind of fair. Fair and good conversation. I love that even these spark fun conversations with people.
good information, good
Yeah,
topic.
I was like, this is a fair discussion. So the next one, I was like so curious about was Tupac and Biggie, and 63% went with Tupac and 37% went with Biggie. I think I would feel about the same. I think I've always more leaned more to Tupac's music as well. That being said, both are great.
Yeah, I mean they both had I loved Biggie when he
Yeah,
first came out, and I think it's yeah, Tupac had Tupac's story was crazy
yeah. And he just had such a beautiful voice. I think that's what
and a message.
yeah, and so powerful. So yeah, but I mean, the two of them together, that was just amazing. And then the next one I knew was really hard too, was
Uh,
Dre and Snoop. So 60% said Dre and 40% said Snoop. And I'm not going to answer this bullshit question.
yeah, I was a Snoop one. I've seen him twice. I've seen him both times he was in Grand Prairie. And dude, this is the funniest part. We were teenagers, me and my brother. My mom let us go, which was so fucking unreal to me. She let us go by ourselves,
Nice.
and we were in the crowd. And when we got picked up, we were high because there was so much fucking ganja in the arena.
Fair.
And my mom was like, we were just giggling, and she's like, "Are you guys okay?" She's like, "You guys smell funny," and we're just laughing. And she's like, "Are you guys high?" We're like, I swear we didn't smoke it, Mom. I swear." And then
No,
she's like,
Debbie.
"Yeah." So she was pretty hesitant about letting us go the second time, but I'm pretty sure we were too old for her to tell us that we couldn't go.
That's
So
crazy. And I agree. I think it's just that initial Dr. Dre when you're first like teenager stoned. You know, when the next episode dropped, that was like at my prime teenage years. And I just don't know if but I don't know. That's why I said I won't answer because I love fucking both just as equal. So next one was broken right down the middle, 50-50 with Green Day and Offspring. And I have to agree. I
nice.
don't think I could decide between those two either because they're both sentimental to me in their own way. Like Pretty Fly for a White Guy will always be one of the funniest, fun songs, just like some Eminem songs. But that being said, Green Day also like hits your heart with so many of those good classics too. So I don't know. That one was hard for me too.
I loved Green Day.
Me too. Just so good. And then the next two was Madonna and Mary J. Blige. Madonna just barely winning at 58%, and Mary J. Blige at 42. And I think both of them are equally great. I think Madonna was definitely a little bit more risque. So I think she kind of just like got more attention.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you like who was for you? Like I loved Madonna. I loved Madonna when she was I just loved everything about the way she was because it was kind of like she just was however she was and she didn't give a fuck and I liked that because it was like no,
She
this
changed.
is not a man's world.
Yeah, she changed a lot. She changed a lot in music, so that's why I like kind of lean to her stuff. But that being said, I really love Mary J. Blige's like voice and
Oh,
her
the
talent
soul.
and her soul, right? Like she just had such like she had powerful music in a different way, whereas like Madonna was like a whole act, right? Where it's just like Mary J.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
such
yeah.
a good singer, but Madonna was a whole performance, right? So kind of in that sense. And the next one I think is really funny because just of how I grew up. So it was Megadeth and Metallica, and it was 5% Megadeth and 95% Metallica, which I think is just straight bullshit because Metallica was just so much more commercialized and everyone just knows them. But like, I don't know, there's some really good in Megadeth too. So I urge you, if you're, a Metallica fan, listen to Megadeth too, because they're also really
I'm going
great.
to.
And I can't remember if it was one way or the other, but either like, this is terrible. I should know this because of who my family is, and they'll probably disown me. But I know one of the singers from one went to the other to form the other. I can't remember which way right now. My stoner brain, and it being a Monday at work, I can't quite remember. But there is like connection between the two. So, anyways,
Okay.
that's my backstory. My brother will probably kill me. Sorry. Um, and then the next one was Tool and Creed, which was 45% Tool and 55% Creed, which I disagree with. I'm sorry. But to each their own.
See, and I don't know, I'd have to hear Tool, like I'd have to have a song come on to be able to fully
That's
know.
fair.
Because when I seen it in the poll, I wasn't sure. So because I knew who Creed was, but
See, and I feel like Creed's just like a
yeah,
little bit more, I don't know, Tool's a little bit more. Yeah,
commercialized.
exactly. So another one where someone was like, no, the world's going to shit. And I was like, I agree. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. The next one, which I completely agree with, 80% Gwen and 20% Mariah. I just love Gwen.
Oh, Gwen, yeah,
I've seen her live
yeah,
and she's just incredible. That was like my first, I think that would say that's like one of my first big live concerts was Gwen when she first came out after No Doubt by herself and her like debut by
yeah,
herself.
she was so cool.
Oh, and she still is. And like being married to Blake Shelton and all that, I just like huge stan of Gwen. I love her.
Oh, I love Gwen.
And then the last one was Boys to Men, 61% and 39% Blackstreet, which I think Boys to Men again is one that's just a little bit more known. They're just more mainstream. So that was it for our music one, which was great going back. I highly recommend people going on to podcasts, or not podcasts, Jesus, not Apple Podcasts, Apple Music and Spotify and go through 90s playlist. Man, it's been so much fun.
I'm gonna totally do
Yeah.
that. I would love to have a little blast from the past like
Yeah,
that.
it was so great. So we'll quickly do the Friends one, and then we'll end with some random trivia that I've pulled from the internet, just for a little bit of fun, because not everyone was old enough to know some of this stuff in the '90s, or like you kind of forget that that was the '90s and not like last year or something. So we'll go through TV shows really quickly because this one was one of my favorite too. So we had Friends and Seinfeld, and without shock, 97% Friends and 3% Seinfeld. And someone had message saying younger they preferred Friends, but as they grew up, they preferred Seinfeld. And for me,
Mm.
Friends is just always one of those classics that I like fall asleep to and like clean to, and yeah, I'm glad that that's always around.
Me too. I love
Right?
Friends.
Just so wholesome. Taught us a lot. And then the next one kind of goes back a little bit earlier. So Blossom and Boy Meets World. So 81% for Boy Meets World and 19% for Blossom. Fun fact for people that maybe didn't know, but Blossom, the main character, is Amy Farrah Fowler on Big Bang Theory.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, right? So that was one of her first ways into TV. So I thought that was kind of funny. That's what I grew up. That was like, I don't know if you ever read a book by Judy Blume. Oh, what's it called? Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
I don't think I ever
Oh,
read
okay. I'll
that.
have to show you. Anyways, it's one of those pivotal things. This is blossom at the same time. She was like a teenager at the same time as me. Anyways, okay, next. Will and Grace or Roseanne, and it was 58% Will and Grace and 42% Roseanne. This one went back and forth a few times. I think they're both equally awesome. I love both of them.
Yeah, I did too. I loved Roseanne. I thought she was
Yeah.
hilarious. But Will and Grace was like Will and Grace was awesome
Yeah.
too. Like I really liked their
And I can't
dynamic.
remember the assistant name, the like really drunk uh rich lady. I don't know. I not Karen, but I want to say Karen. Is it Karen?
Oh, is
I
it
feel like that's
Karen?
just like a default answer in my head, but I don't, anyway, she was fucking hilarious. She was drunk all the time. Which isn't funny. That's not funny, but she was just hilarious. And then the next one, which I'm not surprised, but Full House at 82% and then 18% Seventh Heaven, which I mean, I would have picked the same now because of the scandal that goes on with the Seventh Heaven dad, but I love Seventh Heaven more when I was younger than I did Full.
I did too.
But
Yep.
now that there's a huge scandal around that, I feel like I don't know what I know anymore. So,
Right.
but anyways, the next one I love too. I loved both of these, but me too. Dinosaurs 70% and Third Rock from the Sun was 30. Um, the Dinosaurs was probably one of my favorite.
Still love
I
that
know.
show. I talk about it. I'm like, and I'm so happy to be around people who know what I'm
Right?
talking
That's what
about.
I loved about this. I was like, it's so good. Everyone would get this. And then the next one, this show was on its way at the end of the on its end at the beginning of the 90s. So it was Home Improvement, which is 95%, and Cheers 5%, which doesn't surprise me, you little smuts, because you all wanted JTT.
Yeah, yeah.
Same. But yeah, Cheers ended in like 1993, I think it said. So kind of unfair, but it kind of, yeah. Anyways, love Home Improvement. And I don't know if you guys know this now, but Tim Allen actually had remade this, but with girl daughters instead, and he owns a fishing store. Last Man Standing, I think it's called. It's like 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah.
That one's really good too. I love that one. And then we had Saved by the Bell, 44%, and Fresh Prince of Bel Air, 56, which I'm the same. I love Fresh Prince.
Oh, I did
One of the
too.
best.
Yeah, fuck
One of the
yeah.
best. And then Sabrina the Teenage Witch at 68%, and then Buffy at 32, which I don't know. I go back and forth. Buffy was badass.
She was so
She made me want
badass.
it. And then Spike was probably one of my first like TV crushes. I was like, whoa, hot vampire alert. Yeah.
Right?
And then Beverly Hills 90210, which 66%, and Charmed, which was 34, which shocks me. I thought more people would.
I was a
I was
Charmed.
Charmed too, and it's coming back. I
Hmm.
believe it's going on some sort of platform, streaming platform.
Fuck yeah.
Then we had Simpsons at 85%, and then South Park at 15, which doesn't shock me. South Park was a little intense back then.
Still
It
is.
is. I don't think 90s was ready for that.
No, it was a
And
lot.
then 50-50 tie between Futurama and King of the Hill, which I prefer
Mm,
Futurama, but
yeah, I was both. I liked
yeah, that's
both.
fair. I did too. I don't know. Something about Futurama made me laugh. And then Are You Afraid of the Dark was 48%, and Goosebumps was 52. So I thought that,
I liked both.
yeah, I liked both too. I liked how they were set up differently. And yeah, so that was kind of like our polls. I thought it was great to see what other people liked. And I hope everyone enjoyed that little trip down memory lane. If you are bored, there's a bunch of TV shows we've shown you that are good from the 90s that are top hits. And there's a bunch of music and artists for you guys to go listen to if you're struggling with finding entertainment in your home lately. And for the last like 10-15 minutes here, we're just going to bring you some fun random facts that we pulled off the 90s. So one thing that we talked about is going to Blockbuster and renting a movie on a Friday night. That was one of my favorite things to do.
Ah, yeah.
You picked your movie,
Like
pick, picked your
epic.
candy.
Could you pick games from there too? Like rent
Oh
games?
yeah,
I feel like you could rent from the blockbusters
yeah,
too.
you could. And it
Fuck
was such a
yeah.
fun time. I think that was a fun activity that you don't get to
It
do anymore, but that's okay.
You don't, and it was so much fun. The next one of our other random things from the 90s. I like this one because it's funny when you think about the people that we're gonna name and you remember like where they started. So like Mickey Mouse Club in 1993 had Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, and Ryan Gosling.
That is like a stellar crew. Like
Right? It's like, oh,
so much talent in one.
All the
thing.
talent.
And then these two we talked about, Furbies, were invented and they were nearly impossible to get at the time. Like there was just certain toys in the 90s that came out that like you couldn't get out of the Wish book. Yes, we're dating ourselves. Myself anyways, and Furbies was it. I didn't really want one. They creeped me the fuck out, but everyone I knew wanted one.
I was just about to ask if I
No,
had one, but they
yeah,
creep me
no,
out.
no,
No.
devil things. No, thank you.
Because wait. What was that movie?
Yes, that's what it
Gremlins?
reminded me of.
Yeah, because they were all cute and cuddly, and then all of a sudden, after nighttime, if you fed them, they just
Yeah,
turned into like fucking creepy
yeah. I
ass
was like, it's gonna
monsters.
kill me in the middle of the night. I'm certain of it.
Not having that in my
Mm-mm.
house. Oh, this is a cool one. In 1992, McDonald's introduced Supersize Your
Yeah, isn't
Meal.
that crazy? And then I read after that that then they did it until like 2004. They started becoming more conscious about serving sizes and trying to be healthier. And I was like, okay, good try.
Yeah, so it's not actually like I don't think it's on their menu, but you can still ask for like large fry, large. In supersize, is that more common in
Yeah, I think it's
America?
more of American.
Like I feel like that's a very
Yeah,
common thing
it
there.
totally is. Yeah, no, it's yeah. So I just thought it was funny. It's like, oh, McDonald's is turning health conscious. Okay. Cool story,
Okay.
bro. And this one was kind of interesting. I don't know if a lot of people know this, and I didn't. That Warner Brothers actually had studio stores that you can go to, and in 1991 there was 130 of them, and they all shut down when they merged to AOL Time Warner. So that was like a huge kind of like not
Hmm.
devastation, but like kind of a I guess a big deal maybe more back then because that was where you kind of probably got more of let's say like your I'm assuming your swag for all this kind of stuff, and they just kind of shut them all down when that must have been a big merger back then, which I thought was kind of interesting.
It was. Like that's like crazy. I honestly don't think I knew. Um, I don't even think I know like what those
No,
were.
well, yeah, no, it's just well, I think like AOL, and then Warner Brothers is kind of like it. I just always think it's like the big corporations back then that are all just merging and like eating each other up. That were probably a bigger deal then. Now there's like a million corporations and a million production companies, and but at that time it was probably like a really big deal. I still I don't quite get it, but I can imagine that being a big
Okay.
deal back then. So I thought I'd mention it and sound cool and old. Just kidding.
It does. No, yeah, like the 91 is the year I was born, so
Yeah,
that's crazy. 1997, Tamagotchis were the top
and we
household
can attest
pet.
to that. We've talked about that like 8 times now.
Yes. Yeah, we did. Tamagotchis were, yeah, I'm
I
probably gonna
really
go get
think,
one.
yeah, if you do, let me know how much they are. Send me one. And yeah, I used to like clean up their poop and like feed them and make sure they didn't die. It was a really good birth control method back then. Like,
And also
yeah,
like
yeah,
responsibility
you're like,
for
oh, it
pets.
died. Okay, I better do a better job next time. And it's like practice with the electronic pet before you get a real one. So get yourself a Tamagotchi at the end. And then probably one of my favorites is Friends premiered in the 90s and it became one of the top shows of the sitcoms of the 90s. It wasn't the only one. Seinfeld was also really huge, as much as a lot of us preferred Friends. I don't know about you guys, but I at the age where I would sit down on Thursday nights, I think it was with my mom, and we watched Friends and the new episode every Thursday, and it was like our family thing to do. So Friends was huge for me growing up, and it was always like a family night thing, and I love that.
I did too. I freaking the 90s, man, what a
So
good
good.
time. Like, okay, so I honestly, I'm with this next one, I don't shoot me, but I don't fully know if I know what
Oh yeah, I
FUBU
think
is.
you're too like definitely born in that. So Fubu was just like you know how we were talking about how Tommy Hilfiger was like huge. It was like another brand, and it was
Yeah.
made it was like a top fashion hit. It was like For Us by Us by Damon John, and he's one of the sharks on I think on Shark Tank or one of those big guys. That's what he started. I don't really know much of his story, but he started that brand, and it was just huge. It was just like everywhere. It was just one of those top brands that yeah. So you're a little bit too
Okay.
young. You probably didn't have much of that, but if you're kind of more around my age, you'll know what FUBU is. But you'll know this one. So
Okay.
Beanie Babies era began in 1993, and that was fucking huge. I remember people again used to fight over them, and they were
Yes.
hundreds of dollars, and people kept them in cases. And I'm sure people have tons of them now. I don't know, but Beanie Babies were fucking huge.
They
Yep,
were. I had
totally. And
millions.
Pogs. We didn't talk about that. I'm pretty sure Pogs were the 90s as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, they were. Um, Now mixes were a first of their kind and started the CD mix craze, which I can totally attest to because I remember when I would get like, you'd get like a CD and you'd only hear like a few of your favorite songs from that artist, but it was so cool when you could get like different artists
Yes.
on a CD and all your
Yeah,
favorite
it's like
songs in
now if
one
you were to go
place.
to like Apple Music and then go to like top, 10 playlists and top 10 40s, whatever, and then you got, so it was like your top 40s on a CD, and then you got all your favorites from all your favorite artists, and they were just the best. I remember getting, and then they have like different genres too after the nows. It was like, I don't know, like rock ones and country,
Oh
and
yeah, no,
yeah,
they were
they were
amazing.
hit.
Like
Yeah, and
you
you
had
just
all
like had
kinds.
all of them lined up in your CD case. Oh my God, gross.
The
Yes.
book, the CD book.
We all had
Yeah, the
that.
flip with the
Yeah. Oh
plastic.
my gosh.
Yeah.
And then in 1995, the Macarena was one of the most well known pop culture songs and dances. And I think everyone can attest. I don't think many people don't, in the Western civilization, anyways, don't know what the Macarena is or have heard of it. Yeah.
It's amazing. Um, oh, this is interesting. 1998,
Mm,
Google was born. Originally the search engine for Stanford's website. This now mega company started in Menlo Park,
yeah. So that, I thought that was
California.
kind of interesting. I didn't dive too much into it, but it was just basically saying, I guess it was the original search engine just for like Stanford University website. And then obviously they took that somewhere else and it blew up, but it originated in California. So I thought that was kind of interesting because all of us use Google so much, not thinking, oh, hey, it started in the 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
right?
then this
Like
one's
that's
my favorite. I didn't
crazy.
get too much dish on it, but Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee's sex tape came out. Now, like, this was before where we were now. So that was like huge scandal back then because, this is before like the Kardashian shit. So this is like, yeah, like Pam Anderson has been doing this stuff long before the Kardashians were.
Oh, fuck yeah. That was yeah, I remember
Yeah,
when that
right?
happened. Um, yeah. Okay, I just totally gapped there for a second. The late 90s, especially, and obviously the last year of the decade, was a time primed for an intense and nationwide bout of Y2K.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember Y2K. The hysteria, the Y2K bug, also known as the Millennium bug or simply Y2K, was a class of computer bugs related to the storage of calendar data for dates beginning in the year 2000.
Yep. So,
Fuck, I remember
oh, yeah,
everyone
it
freaking out
like
about
world
that.
was going to end, but then not because I was babysitting. So I'm like, well, obviously nothing too much is going to end if my parents are out drinking and I'm babysitting. So I wasn't too worried, but then
Right?
equally so was like watching out the window at midnight to see what happened, and fireworks happened and nothing. So I ate some more junk food and went to bed. Oh, but yeah, that was
Yep,
such a huge scare. It was
exactly.
going to be a huge panic. The world was going to shut down. So I'm glad it didn't. And hey, 21 years later, technology is far more advanced than being worried about the digits going to 2000 and not being, you know, the 00 reverting back to the beginning of time and not just, anyways, old times. One big thing is that Super Mario Bros. Is still the best video game on the market, and that's held since it started in 1997. So Nintendo, I think this is a comment down below, but we'll just say it now. Nintendo started and all that in the 90s, and we met Mr. Mario in 1997 and have been loving him ever since.
Oh, fuck
And
yeah.
all the wonderful characters that have come after too.
Oh, yeah, but the Mario and Luigi
Peach,
and like
Yoshi,
the little characters, Peach,
yeah, all the good ones. I love them
Yoshi.
all.
Um, in 1999, in a seemingly prophetic way to usher in the new century, a peer-to-peer file sharing
Mm-hmm.
service called Napster became immensely popular for pirating music. Oh. And then, everyone was all over the world became
So
accustomed to free
you're
digital
definitely
content.
probably too young for this, but a lot of my agers will. And do you remember hearing about LimeWire? Okay, so before
I
LimeWire, there's
used
something called
LimeWire.
Napster, and you just essentially shared with people your music, and so it would take forever to download music, but it was like the beginning of what we are now. So Napster was like the very beginning of sharing music and free digital content. But like obviously for me, I just did music more than anything. And so yeah, that was the beginning of that all, and it just kind of blows my mind that it was the 90s that happened. Another thing that was one of my favorite things, and most people will love this, is the world gained entry into the wizarding world of Harry Potter in 1997 with the book release of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. J.K. Rowling, who lived in her car while writing this epic tale, defines what it's like to chase your dreams no matter where you come from. So we all can attest Harry Potter was a huge thing for us. And yeah, I definitely am grateful that came at that time in my life. It was a great time.
It was. I loved and still love Harry Potter. And like I've recently started showing Cash some of them, and he's at that age now where he can sit and
Yeah,
like be glued
totally.
to it. Um so yeah, like for now, everyone is aware that we have instant access to any kind of internet that we want, but in most of the 90s, it was like beeping and screeching, the dial-up tone. So we had to wait for things to boot up. And once that was done, we'd surf the web and,
Yeah.
oh,
Remember that?
Netscape browser, which looks about as crude by today's standards as a pager does next to an iPhone.
I know, right? Like, you
Ah,
guys,
that's
trust me,
good.
you didn't want to be a part of the development of the interwebs and all of that and be very grateful now. So it's like when I laugh at myself when I get pissed off, I don't have like instant, like fast connection. I'm like, dude, you had to sit at home at a desk and plug into this and wait a solid 5 to 10. And then sometimes it would just like drop and then you'd have to like dial again. So yeah, really no reason to bitch about it. So yeah. And the pager to an iPhone is a perfect representation of that comparison there. And then we have
Oh,
slap
totally.
bracelets. Those became a smash and were actually banned at school. In the early 90s, it seemed like every kid had one of these fabric covered metal bands coiled around his or her wrist. But soon, many schools across America began outlawing the bracelets, saying that smacking bands can cause bruising or something. That's so ridiculous. But I remember those. You just had it, and you slapped it on, and then you had a bracelet. Fuck.
Yeah,
Ah,
Cash loves them. Like
they
they're
didn't
they're still
die.
they're still around.
That's hilarious.
They did not die. Yeah, that I actually really like those things. I love the idea that you could just like slap it
Yeah,
and it would
done.
just go
Instant
rolling onto
fashion.
your wrist. Instant fashion. This is where some of the Disney classics were born. Disney created some of their biggest hits with Beauty and the Beast, 1991, Aladdin, 1992, and The Lion King in 1994. The role of the genie in Aladdin was written specifically for Robin Williams, who recorded 16 additional hours of
He's
improved
amazing.
lines. What?
He was.
He was a
I love
magical
everything
man.
about that. And I think they did such a good job on the remake of Aladdin. But it will always be like there's just some roles that Robin Williams has played in some characters that are just irreplaceable. And him as Genie is, and just hearing that is probably one of my favorite ones for sure. Such a character. Um,
Oh,
this
yeah.
one I didn't know and find really interesting. And maybe we'll dive deeper if, we open that second channel about conspiracy theories. Microsoft saved Apple from bankruptcy. Bill Gates announced days before
Hmm.
Apple would have filed for bankruptcy that Microsoft would supply $150 million investment. Jobs told the crowd, "We have to let go of the notion that for Apple to win, Microsoft has to lose." Isn't that really
Interesting.
interesting? I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm not going to we're not going to get into it, but I think by me saying and the other ones that know out there will know that this is interesting. Let's
Hmm.
let's let's put a pin in this and let's come back to that in another episode.
Oh, totally. So, the saga of the then President Bill Clinton's affair with former White House intern Monica Lewinsky grabbed the public's attention in the late 90s, which eventually led to the second impeachment of a U.S. president in
Bill,
American
which
history.
I mentioned in here, but which I thought was really important. So if you follow down the Britney Spears rabbit hole, at the same time as when Britney Spears was first coming out, and she was getting grilled for being more like cute and sexy and like showing her midriff, and they were grilling her on like, when are you going to have sex? Why, like, what do you think about like your boobs? Like asking such inappropriate questions to a teenage girl around the same time this was all coming out. And that's why, not why, but like the media was like hyper focused. It was like the biggest like sexualized scandal there had been. Like, yeah, you had sex, but you didn't talk about it. Like Madonna was still super like out there for what, let's say now. So that was all kind of happening at the same time, which I found super fucking interesting. Just random thoughts
Mm.
that I found. But anyways, next one. After
I
spending
love it.
27 years in prison, Nelson Mandela and his then wife Winnie raised their fists in celebration of Mandela's release from custody February 11th, 1990. Mandela then became president of South Africa after his release and played a pivotal role in leading his country out of apartheid decades of racial segregation. I'm so sorry. I'm terrible at saying things, but I thought that was really like a lot of big things happened in the 90s, and like for that just to be like bang right as soon as it happens, to go from being, in prison for 27 years to being a president and being able to move forward and leadership of a country, I just think is so insane.
Oh yeah, dude, that's crazy. Like
Yeah, like
that's
so fucking
BDE
badass.
right
I love
there.
it.
Um, this one we're gonna go and talk a little bit about Nirvana. So the front man who was known for his distinctive growl, the Nirvana of Nirvana, some of the 90s most memorable songs, and he propelled grunge to become the dominant musical genre of the decade. But for all his talent, Cobain's personal demons were too much to overcome. The singer battled depression and heroin addiction for years before his suicide on April 5th, 1994.
Isn't
He
that
was
crazy?
27
Like,
years
and then
old.
that, I think that was kind of the argument of like, had, you know, Cobain lived, would they outlive Pearl Jam just because of like his path? And I think that's a really interesting conversation if we ever jump into that more. But yeah, I think a lot of people definitely were like fucked up about this, like kind of, I think this really opened up the eyes to what music and all that industry can do to people's like mental health, mixing with all that kind of stuff, right? So
Oh,
I thought
yeah.
that was really interesting. I forgot to find the name of it, but it's a movie starring Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis. It was a Ridley Scott's 1991 film about two friends' road trip gone terribly awry. Is considered a classic for its groundbreaking depiction of feminist themes. The movie was also adored by audiences and critics, ranking over $45 million at the box office, 6 Academy Award nominations, winning an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. So I think this was one of very pivotal moment for women and screenplays, and kind of having more themes that are towards women more. So that was a big pivotal moment in the film industry for our type of gals.
Fuck, that's awesome. I feel like
Yeah.
I know
I think the
the
one
movie. Like
they
I can
play
picture the two
baseball.
of them.
I don't know. We'll have to look at it. Sorry, guys. We'll
Is it
post it
the?
and we'll
Oh
find it.
fuck.
But yeah, I love that that's those two that kind of made that change, and that it's kind of like a Madonna, but like in the movie field. I know.
This one gives me the heebie-jeebies. So, after one of his would-be victims escaped from his home, serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer was arrested in July of 1991 and later confessed to killing 17 men and boys. Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life sentences, but unfortunately or fortunately died in 1994 after
Oh,
a fellow prisoner
thanks.
beat him, which, I
Just
mean,
kidding. But yeah, if you are into weird stuff like that, there's definitely Netflix series on Jeffrey Dahmer. It's a very interesting story. Yeah, and I think who's it? Zac Efron also plays him in the movie as well, and that depicts it because I think Jeffrey
yeah,
Dahmer made them realize, like, hey, not all psychopaths look like psychopaths. Some of them are very charming and good looking, and even in prison after confessing, women were still throwing themselves at him. So, ladies, think yourselves, think about that, think
which is
about what you're
crazy.
doing. So we already mentioned this, but the Super Nintendo Entertainment System was released to the US consumers in 1991 and became the best-selling gaming console of its generation. With advanced graphics and classic games like Donkey Kong Country, yes, Super Mario World, and The Legends of Zelda, Nintendo sold more than 49 million systems worldwide. Jesus. Gotta love Nintendo.
Holy moly. Um, oh, this one we talked about Tupac. And so in 1993, rapper and actor Tupac Shakur was shot dead on September 13th, 1996, on the streets of Las Vegas after he was attending a Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand. Shakur's killing still remains unsolved, but many attribute his death to the decades-heated East Coast versus West Coast rap war, which pitted Shakur against his New York rival Christopher Wallace,
Yeah.
aka the
And again, there's
Notorious
another really
B.I.G.
good docu-series on that as well. If you're looking for a good series, go check it out. It still remains, it's unsatisfying because, to be honest, like, spoiler alert, they don't figure it out, but it just kind of gives you a whole bunch of different views on it. Really good documentary. The next one is my favorite because I actually just watched a YouTube video on this, but Lorena Bobbitt, shown during her trial, was accused of cutting off her husband's penis while he slept, then driving off with the appendage and tossing it in a field. In January 1994, she was found not guilty by reason of temporary insanity. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the couple's divorce was finalized the next year. So again, look into this. She had every right to do this, so I'm just going to leave that at that. But she had every right, in my opinion, to do what she did to him based on how he treated her. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that I feel like I remember
Google it,
that.
YouTube
So,
it. It's an interesting story. Oh, that's
I'm
okay.
not sure
Just
how to
say
fully say
that
this.
works.
Like, is it Lilyhammer or Lilhammer? Before the 1994 Lillehammer Winter Olympics, figure skater Nancy Kerrigan Wright was injured by a man connected to her
Yeah.
rival. Oh, there's a thing about this. Fellow U.S. figure skater Tonya Harding, sparking one of the biggest scandals in sports history. This made for some awkward practice sessions at the Olympics, like the one shown here. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think this is where we would have had a picture or something, pulled it off the internet. Um, Again, Lillehammer or Lilyhammer, I have no idea. On February 17th, 1994, Kerrigan won a silver medal at the Olympics, while Harding placed eighth and was later banned
Yeah.
for
So I think
life
Grant
from
said
the
something like
sport.
she got him to take a baseball bat to the other chick's knees or something like that. But it was like a huge scandal in the Olympics and they had to like practice. And yeah, she ended up being banned after that. But like, holy, just like, don't be in that sport if you're gonna, like, you're gonna lose. It's fine. Just don't do. Yeah. So it's just like, wow. I
Yeah.
kind of remember that, but I didn't. This one for sure is one of the most memorable moments of the 90s, and that would be the O.J. Simpson trial. June 15th, 1995. He struggled to fit his hand into a glove prosecutors claim he wore the night his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman were killed. The prosecution's request to have Simpson try on the glove on which in court was a pivotal moment in the trial, which ended the former NFL star's acquittal. The famous glove.
Also, for a little random fact there, with the O.J. Simpson trial, the lawyer of O.J. Simpson is Khloe
Oh, wow.
Kardashian's
Interesting.
dad. I don't know if it's Chloe and Kim, because I think not all of them are from the same. The three older girls are from someone else,
The
and then the
Caitlyn
two
Jenner.
younger girls are from Bruce Jenner.
I'm kidding. Bruce Jenner.
Yes, yeah,
I'm just
sorry.
kidding.
Fuck. Well,
What a
then
weird.
Bruce Jenner, like, uh, yeah. So that the man that defended O.J. Simpson is the father of
Why does that
the
not surprise me?
famous Kardashian girls,
Gross. Just kidding.
right? Um, Rachel, Monica, Phoebe, Chandler, Ross, and Joey were the best of friends on and off of the set. A formula that led Friends to become one of the most successful TV shows of all time. We have said it, we agree. The show premiered in September 1994, and nearly 10 years later, 52.5 million viewers tuned into the
And I
show's
cried like a
2004
baby.
series finale.
To follow up the Tupac with hits like Big Papa and One More Chance, Christopher Walking, totally different guy. Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G., rose to hip hop superstardom in the mid 90s. Shown performing on, that was a picture, Wallace was signed to Sean P. Diddy Coombs' record label Bad Boy Records. Yes, Bad Boy Records, and was a central figure in the decade's tense East Coast West Coast hip hop war. Just 6 months after Tupac Shakur was shot and killed in Las Vegas, Wallace was gunned down in LA in 1997. And like Shakur's death, Wallace is still unsolved. And I can't believe that they're
I
not, like,
just
they
can't
have to be
believe that
connected.
that's a
Like, they just
thing.
have to be. Yeah,
Yeah, and I just feel like
totally.
there's something that they're just not saying. Oh, this one's gross. How was a 6-year-old beauty pageant princess slain in her home in Boulder, Colorado? More than 2 decades since she died on Christmas Day in 1996, the case of John Benet Ramsey remains unsolved. Again, that disturbs me. In the early days of the investigation, suspicion was cast on her
And
parents,
again,
but they were later
if you
exonerated
look
by
into this
DNA
more,
evidence.
they
It
talk,
was
I don't
super
know, but
creepy.
there's like also speculations on it's being the brother. Like, it's a really weird story. Like, again, go on YouTube if you guys are bored. Like, go through all of these and just YouTube some of them and listen to what like content creators do their research. It's really interesting to see, like, people will, like, there's like this one guy Observe, and he watches body language, and it's all very interesting stuff, and they talk about this. And there's something going on in Colorado, because I feel like that's also where Chris, what the fuck is his last name? He killed his pregnant wife and two daughters. He was from Colorado too. Christopher Christopher something. Anyways, they just there's
Hmm.
just a Netflix thing. That's another good one. Next, this one's not one of my favorites, but I remember this. So after Evander Holyfield stunned Mike Tyson with an 11th round TKO. Oh my god. TKO, it's been a long fucking day. In their first matchup, boxing fans were anticipating another fight for ages. On June 28, 1997, a rematch, but the fight took a bizarre and gruesome turn in the third round. After Holyfield headbutted gashed Tyson's head, Tyson lost his temper in the third round and bit Holyfield on the ear, tearing off a chunk of the cartilage, leaving the wound shown above. Whoops, sorry guys, there's pictures. Tyson was disqualified from the fight and later lost his boxing license because of the bite.
Holy
That
fuck.
whole thing was just gross.
Oh yeah. This one's really good. I think everyone of the 90s knows this. For as far as blockbusters go, few have matched the success of 1997's Titanic. The fictionalized love affair that
Hmm?
unfolded between Leonardo DiCaprio, heartthrob, and Kate Winslet aboard the doomed ship was a hit with audiences around the globe and catapulted DiCaprio to superstardom. It also shattered box office records. Despite its hefty 200 million budget, Titanic became the first film to push past the 1
Right?
billion mark in gross revenue. Holy fuck. And it remains among the highest grossing movies
I
of
remember
all
when it came out,
time.
there
Holy
was people
crap.
sitting on the floor in the aisles to watch Titanic at the movie theater, right? I'm gonna switch it because
I
the last
remember
one's a
Titanic.
little
It was
bit like
amazing.
heavier, and then I'll let you end with the hockey one. But this one's really important because I didn't realize how far back this was. So surveillance tape from Columbine High School on April 20th, 1999 show Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold carrying guns through the school's cafeteria. The two students carried out one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history, killing 12 students and one teacher before turning the guns on themselves in the school library. So, Bowling for Columbine is a really good documentary that explains more of that. And unfortunately, I feel like there may have been something bigger than that since. But that was like the first major school shooting in the 90s. And I like remember that clear as day because I was about that age and it was terrifying at the time. But yeah, very important to show how far we've gone. But I think in the since we've had some other mishaps too.
Oh yeah, dude, that's actually yeah. I that when because that's a big one. That is super disturbing, and it's like I've never seen the documentary, so I'd kind of like to check it out because I'd like to know like what was going on. Their kids don't
It's a
just
good
go into a
documentary. I
school with
definitely
guns
the
for
I
no
was
reason, you know?
I can't remember his name, Michael Moore. So I know he did a couple controversial ones, but I think it was yeah. This one's a little bit different though because this is actually yeah. He did like Fahrenheit 9/11, but yeah, Bowling for Columbine is a really good
Okay.
documentary that gives a very clear understanding of what happened and how the kids even got to the guns and all that in the first place. So I didn't want to end on that one. I'll let you end on a really good Canadian
Mm.
factoid of note.
All right. So, after 20 years in the National Hockey League, Wayne Gretzky laced up his skates for the last time on April 18th, 1999, in a game that his Rangers lost 2-1 in overtime to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Gretzky stepped away as the league's all-time leader in points with, holy moly, 2,857, and his number 99 jersey is the only
Isn't that
number
fucking
that has been
cool?
retired league-wide by the NHL.
How I just wanted to end with a nice, good
That's
hockey
so cool.
fact. So, those are some random facts that I pulled on the internet. I mean, there's so many, you guys. Like, the 90s was quite a pivotal time. Through this next week, if you have anything more you want to share with us that you think was important to the 90s, send it to our Be Real Babe Instagram and we will share that. We love sharing this shit. I had so much fun in this episode. Kay, how did you feel?
I loved it.
Yeah, it was
This
just
was
fun.
really
And
good.
we'll
I
definitely be sharing
appreciated the
pictures of our
throwback.
embarrassing selves to the 90s to this week as well. And again, guys, send us anything you want us to share. If you have any embarrassing photos that you're willing to sacrifice, then let's see them. And also, stay tuned because we have some information coming very soon about our very first giveaway in the Grand Prairie area. So get excited to be a part of that. And we are pretty much done for this episode. The next one, you guys, is going to be, I'm just going to put a trigger warning on this one. It's going to be a bit heavier for me. This is why we decided to do this light one. So we're going to dive a little bit more into just kind of what happened with my miscarriage. It won't be a very long episode, but just want to kind of share my experiences with that. And then we'll also be having, I believe, at least one guest speaker talk about their experiences as well. So we hope you enjoyed this throwback. Join us next time. Catch all episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We are everywhere. And yeah, that wraps it up for me. Kay, how about you? All right. We'll see you next time, guys.
That is a
Bye.
wrap, babe.
Thank you guys so much for stopping by today. We appreciate you so much. If you like this episode and you want to hear more or be updated with episode drops, please make sure to send us some love on our Instagram page, the Be Real Babe Podcast. Give us a follow and stay tuned for more realness coming to you next week. Until next time, babes.